Okay, let's try to make some more salads and don't, or make whatever you want on the dressing, okay? Point out too much food.
The dressing wasn't very good.
I didn't make that dressing. I had a different dressing.
I don't know what that was.
That was a different one. I made a really good one today. It wasn't
Okay,
the one that was part of my.
good. Well, I'll try it tomorrow night.
Yeah, but just, yeah, please, just.
No problem. Hi, Mario.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay. You? Warm enough?
Okay. Yeah, the air conditioning's on. So hopefully tomorrow it'll cool down. The mosquitoes are out. Ooh, I got so bitten up tonight.
Mosquitoes?
Yeah. Diving on the block at an outdoor minion. And I don't know what happened. I've never been eaten up like this before, but ooh.
When is Ernie coming back?
He seems happy in Eretz Yisrael. Maybe he'll stay there.
Hello.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, Ernie. Good Erev Shabbos.
Good morning, getting there of Shabbos.
Ernie, what do you want to do tomorrow morning?
7:45 a.m.
What time?
7:45. Because 8 o'clock
Okay.
a.m., it's too close to Shabbos here. So I need another 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so 7:45 a.m. And then Motzei Shabbos will be, we'll do the Navi Shir at 9 o'clock and the Daf Yomi at 10 o'clock. Regular
Okay.
regular time for our shiurim.
Okay.
How's your daughter holding out?
She's in the hospital. They're,
Right.
here it's a different system. She needs to be induced because it's she's a week late, and her water is a little low. So, but it's a process at Hadassah. It doesn't happen like in Los Angeles.
Not like give her the Pitocin and then an hour later you're done.
Yeah, but they don't do it. You have to be put on a waiting list. It's a different system there. So you have to check into the hospital. They keep you there for days until they're ready to because you're not as high as an emergency as other people if the baby's not in distress or something.
Okay.
So
Well, she gets a little vacation.
Right.
If we have a little time, we should maybe a little bit more than the DAF, so it'll make it easier for tomorrow. Because if you're short tomorrow of the time, you can we'll catch up a little bit by.
Yeah, but at 7:45, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, we're on Samech Bay 62. Oh no.
Are we on Samech Aleph?
Samech Aleph.
Sorry.
61. The Achle Bei Havale Bnei Einoni. We're talking about during pregnancy, if the pregnant woman eats eggs, it'll cause the children to have very large eyes. The Achle Kavri, honey. Havale Bnei Chinani. Oh, I'm sorry, fish. Kavri is fish. Shoichlim Dogim. Hang on. 1 second.
Kind of froze.
don't want to wake up. I don't want to wake up. It's early here, so I don't wake up the kids here. Nachli kavri avalei b'nei chineni. A pregnant woman who eats fish, the children they'll have chen, they'll have charm. Dachla karpasa. Rashi says afya.
In Spanish,
Carpas.
there's apia.
Karpas like some kind of vegetable, like what we have.
Celery.
Celery.
Celery. Yeah.
Celery.
In Spanish is apio.
Apia
So-
is celery in Spanish. Mario.
Celery.
Apia is in Spanish. Apia is celery.
Apio. Apio with an O at the end.
Yeah, because Rashi says apia, which is, in Latin,
Yeah.
Rashi oftentimes will use Latin. So since Spanish comes from
Yes.
Latin, so, okay,
Yes,
celery.
of course.
So havule b'nei zituni. They'll have very beautiful children. It leads to nice looking children. The achla kuzbarta, oleander. Rashi says oleandra, oleander. It's a spice or some kind of leaf, plant. Havle
Yeah.
b'nei bismini. They'll be fat. The children will be fat. Dakla etroga. If a pregnant woman eats a citron, right, an etrog, havelo b'nei rechani. They'll have a good smell.
Mm.
Barte de Shvor Malka, the daughter of the Persian king Shvor Malka, Achla ba'ima etroga, the mother of the daughter of the Shvor Malka, ate a lot of estrogim when she was pregnant. Vavu maskila l'kamei avua b'reish yerechani. They would bring the daughter to the father, the king, before all of the other perfumes because she smelled so good. Ravuna Baraklan Ravuna Barchinana. Ravuna Barchinana checked us on the following halachas. He omeres lahanik. The mother of the child wants to nurse. V'hu omer shelo lahanik. The father doesn't want her to nurse. The father wants them to hire a nursemaid. It's not covered in his family that the wife herself would nurse. Rather, they would hire a nursemaid. Shoimin law. If she wants to nurse and he doesn't, we listen to her. Because Sarah dida. Maybe she has pain in her breasts because the breast fills with milk. She wants to relieve her distress. So we listen to her in that case. Hu omer lahanik, vi omer shelo lahanik. If the father wants her to nurse and she doesn't want to nurse, and the Gemara goes through an analysis. If in her family it was not the minig that the women would nurse themselves, that means they would hire nursemaids. Shoimin law. We can't go against her family's minig. And they would hire a nursemaid. But imhi orcha, v'hu lav orcha. We're talking about a case where in the woman's family was the derech to nurse, but it was not the derech in the husband's family to nurse. So, and this was a case where he wanted her to nurse and she didn't want to nurse. Do we say Basar Didei Azlina, Basar Dida Azlina? Do we go after him or after her? Upashitna lemeha. We answered the shaila from the din of whenever a woman marries a man, oila imo, she's elevated to his status. money-wise, in terms of what they're used to, how their lifestyle is. And she's brought up to the level of standard as like his family, if it was a higher standard than hers. Ve'ena yoredesimo. If she lived on a higher standard than him, you can't lower her. She's got to be in the standard of her family. So comes out from there that if in the husband's family the minig was not to nurse, so she would not be chayiv to nurse. Amravuna Maikra, Vihibu Lasbal. Baliyasa Shalbal, Velobi Ridasa Shalbal. You follow whatever, if the minig is by the Baal, you follow the minig of the Baal on a high level, not on a lower level. Eliezer Omer, Mehachad. Ki hi haisa aim kol chai. Chava was aim kol chai. L'chaim nitna, v'lo l'tzar nitna. She was given for chai and not for pain, the woman. Ichnisa lo shivcha, then we went through an analysis depending on how many maids he would hire. It would decrease her workload. So if one shivcha was given, she didn't have to grind or bake or launder, right? But hashara avda, but the other various melachos she would have to do. So v'tei malay, why shouldn't the woman say to the husband, "Einas l'cha itza b'chari koi"? Listen, you brought me a woman sort of in my place. Let her do all the malachos. Mishum shomer la tircha l'didei u'l'dida. No, the shivcha is working for you and for me. Kamedidach man torach. You have to do a little of the work to take care of yourself, to take care of your needs. Then, if we said shtayim, if two maids were hired, einam vashelas ve'einam menika. She doesn't cook, she doesn't nurse. But hashara avda, but the other malachos from that mishnah she would do. V'temalei ailad l'cha itza akrisi t'tarcha l'didi u'l'dida. You brought another maid to do work for me and you. V'chala l'didcha l'didei. And now another one for you and me. So maybe I don't have to do anything. Mishum de Amar law, because the husband can say to him, "Kami urcha uparche man de Torah." What about guests that are invited? We need you to work for the guests. Shalosh ena mitzvah samita. If there were three maids, she doesn't have to make the bed. Hashara avda. But the other work she would have to do. The temalei, why doesn't she say to him, you have three maids, maybe I shouldn't have to do anything. Shum de Omer law, nafish bnei beisa nafish orchi uparchi. If the house is filled with family members and guests, so we need another person to do more work. Yachi afilu arba shvachis nami, even four, because there'll be more guests. And in the mission said, if you have four, you don't have to do anything. So arba kivin in the fish lehun mesaina adadi. Four is the critical mass. Once you have four, they work they work together. Each one helps each other, and they can do all the work. And therefore, that's why once you reach four, she doesn't have to do anything. Abrav Chana, the Itamer of Shmuel Bar Nachmani, not lo shechnisach mamish. We're not talking about that he actually hired four maids. Elakivan shru uyilahaknis. That means if she brought a big nedunya and to be able to buy all these maids, avapisha lo ichnisa. She doesn't have to do any work, even if he didn't formally hire the maids. Tana, echad shichnisa, vechad shetzantzela mishalah, or she brought in enough money in the Naden that the Baal can hire, that exempts her from work. Then the Mishnah said, Arba, Yosheves bekatebra, she sits on like a throne, and she doesn't have to do anything. Amr Rav Yitzchak bar Chanina, Amr Ravuna Afal Pisha, Amr Yosheves bekatedra. There are some things she has to do. Moizeges loikois. She fills up his cup of wine. Matzas lo samita. She makes the bed with the linen and the sheets. These are not difficult jobs. Rashi says, "Mili dechiba ninu." They're signs of intimacy. Umarchetes lopanav yadav v'roglav. She washes his face, his hands, and his legs. These are things of intimacy. Amrav Yitzchak bar Chananya, Amrav Ravuna kol blacha sheisay shel habayla, nida oisel habayla. A nida is allowed to do all the works. Chutz mimziga sakos atzos amitra chatzos paniyav gratlav. During the nida period, you avoid doing these acts of intimacy. We don't want it to lead to anything. And the Gemara explains further, making the bed, she wouldn't be able to make the bed while he's present in the room. There's no isser for her to make the bed when he's not in the house. They would make a shinui during nida. She would do it with her left hand. That's enough shinui that he would recognize, he'll stay away from her sexually. The wife of Abaye would put the cup of wine on the top of a barrel. Rava Abesadya. By the pillow. Rav Papa Arsrifra, or on the bench. All of these were placed there as a shinui, because she's a nida. Okay. Those are halachas. Rav Yitzchak bar Chanina, Rav Huna. Hakol mashin b'fnei hashamis. You have a waiter who's serving your family food. So he waits to eat until everybody's finished, and then he eats, except if he sees you eating meat and wine, because that increases the hunger, causes him pain if he doesn't eat right away with those that are eating. So he's allowed to join the Suda and eat right away. It's not any meat or wine. It's got to be fatty meat and old wine. The din by fatty meat is the whole year. Only in the summer. I was before Marshmuel. Isolate tafshila the ardi. They brought me mushrooms to eat. If they wouldn't have given me some, istakini. It made me so hungry. If they wouldn't have given me some to eat, it would have damaged me. I was in front of Rav Kahana. Isolate garglide delifta b'chala. They brought me like something in vinegar, like turnips and vinegar. If they wouldn't have given me to eat, istakni, I would have been damaged. Rav Papa Amar filu tmarta dihinu nisa. Even perfumed dates you have to feed to the shamus because it could make him sick if he doesn't eat it. Klal de mil. So what's the general rule? Called the isle recha, the isle kiyuya. If the food has good smell or spice, then you have to feed him right away. Avua bar ihi, uvinyamin bar ihi, chad safe mikol mina umina. One of them would feed the shamus from everything that was served. Chad safe mechad mina. One of these mandarmrim only would give him from one of the various things that were on the table. Mar, one of them, Mishtoy Elio Badayu. Elio Hanavi would appear, he would be Zoicha to Gilui Elio, to learn with him. Umar lo Mishtoy Elio Badei. The other was not Zoicha to Gilui Elio. Hanu Tartein Chasidim. These two Chasidim, Marmila Rav Meri, Rav Pinchas, Rav Chizda. Some say it's Rav Meri, Rav Pinchas. Mar Kodem Safei, Umar Ma'achar Safei. That means before he started eating, he would feed the shamas. The other one would delay and only feed the shamas after he ate. De Kodem Safei, the one that fed the shamas before everyone ate, Eliyahu Mishtoy Badei. He was Zoicha to Eliyahu Hanavi appearing to him. The Ma'achar Safei, the one who gave to the shamas only after he ate, Lo Mishtoy Eliyahu Badei, was not Zoicha to Gilu Eliyahu. Ameimar Marzutra Ravashi, these three Amoraim have a Kiyosvi Apischa de Be Izgur Malka. They were sitting at the doorway of the king Izgur. Chalef va'azal ataragna de Malka, the waiters, or the chief waiter of this king, would go into the door with all sorts of foods. Chazdi Ravashi leMarzutra, Ravashi saw Marzutra the Chaver Ape. His face turned white because his appetite was stimulated by seeing the food that was being brought in by the king. Shakal Bed's Bosa. Ravuna took with his finger, Anach Lebapume, like took some of the food and put it on the lips of Marzutra to sate his hunger. So Omer Lay, this waiter, told Ravuna, Afsadat al-Sudasa de Malka. What do you mean? You ruined the king's meal because you put your finger in it. Omer Lay, Amai Tavirachi. And the people said, the officers of the king, why did you do this? To taste from the king's food that belongs to the king. So Amalu Ravuna said, Man da Avirachi Posel Michael de Malka. Whoever made this terrible food, they're the ones who postled the food. Amalu Amai, what do you mean? What was wrong with the food? Amalu Davar Acher. There was tsaras. There was the meat of a pig that had the tsaras that was cooked for the king. Chazube, he saw it. So, but kulashkachu, they checked carefully. They saw he's not correct. Shakal etzbesa anachale amelu hacha mi bad kisu. So Rashi took his finger and put it on a certain spot on the meat and asked them, "Did you check here?" But kuashkachu, they checked and they found it was tsaras. Amele rabbanon. My time is samachta anis. Now, obviously, what happened here, Hashem made a nace because he was gonna be killed. So Hashem made a nace that the tsaras appeared where he put his finger. So the Chacham asked Rav Huna, why did you rely? My time is samachta anisa. You're relying on nisim. No, chazoi ruach tsaras de koparchiloi. I saw that there was like tsaras there, and therefore there's a pekam there. So I wasn't relying on a nace. There was a Roman who said to a woman, Minsa Bisli wanted to marry her. Amrle lo. She said no. So Ozil Isi Rimni Poli V'achal Kamo. He brought pomegranates, peeled them, ate them, and didn't give any to her. Kolmai Ditzarla Belase. She had developed a lot of saliva because of the desire to eat it. He swallowed it. She swallowed it. And he didn't give her any of the pomegranates until she got sick. If I heal you, will you marry me? So he went and peeled the pomegranates. Again, ate in front of her. All of this saliva that I made you suffer, or that you made me suffer for not marrying, throw it out. Like a green leaf came out of her and it healed her. Okay?
What kind of weird story is that? I mean, not that the Gemara doesn't have other weird stories, but we have a non-Jew trying to marry a Jewish woman, and that he comes in and, hocus pocus heals her and she has to marry him. It's just very odd.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay.
I didn't learn the Marsha. I'm sure the Marsha has some kind of explanation for it. Don't have it on the Daf, but I'm sure the Marsha probably says something about it. Then the Mishnah said, Oisa b'tsemer, that one of the jobs of the Jewish wife is to work with wool. B'tsemer in pishtim lo, but not with flax and linen. Mastis mani Rabbi Yehuda, must be Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanya. Eina kofa lo la'amod lifnei aviv. The husband can't make his wife serve his father, or to work before his son, or to give straw to his animals. But he can, means horses and donkeys, no, but in front of oxen, yes. He can make her do that. Rashi says, "Sus v'chamor she'en mezuyonim b'tzal revia." They might attack a woman and have relations with her, but cows are not like that. They have no desire to sleep with women, and therefore you don't have to keep the woman away from it. Also, sign of the times. When you work with flax, it gives you bad breath. I guess it chaps your lips. And this is with Roman linen, Roman flax, which causes most of these damages. Even if the husband is so rich, or the nedunya is so large, that the husband hired 100 maids, the wife should always do something. Otherwise, it'll come to immorality. Laziness will lead to immorality. But the halach is like that. Amrav Chanina Brei de Ravika. The halachas regarding shpud, a spit on yontif, and this inyan of shvachos in our Mishnah, and gumos regarding deciding when a girl is a bogeres or not. Those are the psak. We always go like Rav Malachio. But blurius, which is some kind of haircut, the dinim of a haircut, which in Avodah Zarah, and Ephra Makla, and the din of Ephra Makla in Masechta Maklis, and Gvina, and the din of cheese, that's Rav Malachia, not Rav Malachio, but Rav Malachia. And Rav Papa says no, it's Lamasnisin Umasnisa. One of these mandamar we paskin like in a Mishnah, and the other like a Baraisa. The Masnisa is Rav Malachia, Shmaitza, which are statements of Amiroim, they're not Tana Idik, is Rav Malachio. The Simonech, how do you remember that? Masnisa Malkasa, the Masnisans, the various halachas that we paskin like, is Rav Malachia, which is similar to like a melech. My binayu, what would be the nafkamina? Ikvinayu shvachos. Because according to Rav Chanina, it was Rav Malachio who said the din of shvachos. Or Rav Papa, that it refers to a mishnah, that would have been Rav Malachia. Okay. Rav Shimon Gamliel, Omer, that if laziness will lead to mental illness, boredom, depression. So l'chora hainu Tanakama, that's the same thing as the Tanakama. Rav Eliezer, who said, what's the problem if you're lazy, it leads to immorality versus if it leads to depression? Ikbinayu de metala beguryasa, or kitnaisov in adarshir. Let's say she has a pet, little dog around. So here she has got something to do. It will not lead to depression, but it could lead to immorality because for Rabbi Eliezer, it leads to immorality if you're not doing anything. Mishnah. Hamadir ishto mitash mishamita. A man took a neder where the neder he took would prevent him from having relations with his wife. Remember, one of the requirements of the ksuba is a husband has to provide sexual relations for his wife. Oh no. So if a man took a neder not to have relations, they can't stay married. They could stay married for 2 weeks. After that, he has to divorce her and give her a ksuba. 1 week. That means if the neder was a 2-week neder, they could live for 2 weeks. If it's more than that, he's got to give her a get. And Beis Hillel said it can't be more than 1 week. Why? Because technically only the ona is at a minimum once a week or once every 2 weeks, according to Beis Shammai. And how often people had relations depended on what they did. A Talmid could go and learn Torah without permission of their wives only up to 30 days. Hapoyalim Shabbos Achas. Regular workers can stay away from their wives 1 week without their permission. Ha'ona Amur B'Torah, how often you should have relations, which is a chiyuv on the Baal, is different based on their profession. Hatayalim b'chol yom. People who stayed home, didn't do any work, they had relations every day. Hapoyalim shtayim b'Shabbos. Regular workers, twice a week. Hachamorim, these were donkey drivers who were like the truck drivers. Achas b'Shabbos, once a week. Hagamolim, these were the caravan drivers, which went for much further distances. Achas l'shloshim yom, once every month. Hasaponim, these were sailors. Achas l'shisha chadoshim, once every 6 months. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Now, my time in the Beis Shammai that he says that the you could take a neder up to 2 weeks and not divorce her. Gamri mioletis nekeva. When you give birth to a nekeva, she's the wife after she gives birth is tameh for 2 weeks, and it's asur labal. So if in the Torah, you could stay. The Torah demands that you stay away from your wife for up to 2 weeks. So it's not considered painful for the woman up until 2 weeks. Beisil nami. So ubeisila gamri miyoled zachar. Beisil learns from the birth of a male where she's only tummy for 1 week. Why shouldn't Beisil learn from the keva? Fine. Ela Beisil mi nida gamri lo. Rather, Beisil is learning from nida. That midin Torah, it's also to live with your wife during the 7 days that she's a nida, right? Mina Torah, if she's clean, technically, you could live with her that night if she goes to the mikveh. We only have zayin nikiyim because we're suspicious that any blood might be a zava gdola. So really, Beisil follows the din of nida. But my kamifli, what really are they arguing? Marsa remida dishchiach, remida dishchiach. Beis Hillel learns separation. We learn the din of separation from something that is very common. It's very common for her to be a nida. It's not that common to give birth. No, Beis Shammai says we learn that the fact that the guy made a ned there of 2 weeks from something that led, meaning tashmish, which leads to leda. And the need, right? The husband has to be involved in giving birth by a nida that comes just from the woman herself. The husband's not involved in her becoming a nida. Amarav machloikes b'mufarish. The machloikes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is when the man made a specific time frame. He said 1 week, 2 weeks. But if he says, I'm making neder not to have relations, period. He has to divorce her right away. Shmuel says, no, you don't have to give a divorce right away. They'll find a Talmid Chacham to open up his neder and annul it. We've already had this machlokes. It's not. A man made a neder not to benefit from his wife. Yamid parnas. That means he made a neder that the woman shouldn't get any benefit from him. Now he has to provide mazonos for her. So up until 30 days, he has to appoint like an executor to provide parnasa for her for the 30 days. More than 30 days, he has to divorce her and give her the ksuba. That's only where he gave a specific time frame. I'm being madr neder for 30 days. Aval bistam. If he just said I'm being madr neder, period, yotzi la'alter. He has to divorce her right away if he thinks supa. There as well, Shmuel said, no, give him time. Maybe he'll find a chacham to be matir neder. So we already had this machlokas. Why do we have to have the machlokas in both places? Tzricha. Maybe he can't find, maybe over there Rav gives him an out because there are cases where you can't find somebody to be an executor. By the sexual relations business, you can't find somebody to take your place, to live with your wife. It's a nation of siege. In a case of finding an executor to provide parnasa after parnas, maybe Eamon waited to let Shmuel. Rav will agree to Shmuel that you can wait. The itmar bayi ba'ach kamer Shmuel. And maybe Shmuel will say it only by sexual relation. That you can give time because it's easy to find an executor to provide parnas. So we need the machlokas in both places. Okay. So again, we're going to learn 7:45. We're going to learn 7:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. So for me, it's 5:45 p.m. because otherwise Shabbos is starting. Because if we learn at 8, it's too close to Shabbos. So 5:45. So 7:45 a.m.
Okay, Ernie, I won't be here, so make sure you stop the recording when you finish,
Okay, I will.
okay?
All right.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Well,